Welcome, everybody, to Broadcast Team Alpha, where we bring you cutting edge conversation while exploring the quantum possibilities. And I am so excited about our guest tonight. It's like a breath of fresh air in a very cosmic way. So, Augie's going to tell us about our guest in just a couple of minutes, but I just want to thank you for being here. I want to thank our friends over at the Conscious Awakening Network. We are streaming over there now. And Sheila Seppi and her crew are doing an amazing job over there. They've got all kinds of programming. Highly recommend you kind of take a peek and see what's going on over there besides us. And Augie's there Sunday night doing the paranormal show also. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your super chats. It helps defray the cost of production. We really appreciate that. And thank you if you have come to join us on our Sunday Mastermind Connection. We get together to do what? To mastermind and manifest. We get together and we envision things the way that we want it to be. And sometimes they're small-ish things, and sometimes they're big things like peace during the election, which happened, right? It was very peaceful this last election. Personal health for people who have been in the hospital. People have had miraculous recoveries. People who were about to go on the ventilator in the hospital, we envisioned them being healthy, and the next day they went home. So if this sounds like something you'd like to do with us, send an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com. Augie will send you the link. You can come hang out with us. And if you like it, you can join us every Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Without any further ado, Augie, please tell us about our guest.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I will. And this is going to be good. Today will be special. We will talk about specific and verifiable messages from extraterrestrials. We will talk about the Great Pyramid, maybe even how it was built, and the Bermuda Triangle, Atlantis and Lemuria, the human aura, and the true identity of Christ. And also we may wander off into any other corner of the universe as we go along, but we have Samuel Chong with us to talk about all these things. He is a Chinese translator and an import, he came to the United States like I did years ago. He was instrumental in translating the Chinese best-selling writings of, I don't speak Chinese, so I'm going to give it a shot. There's Thiaoouba Prophecies of the Golden Planet. And also translated the book 334 Lies. And that is about a secret society in Germany that is also gone to China, and it's a global secret society that hardly anybody knows about. And he holds a BA in economics from Berkeley and a JD, that is Juris Doctorate, from Northwestern California School of Law. And today you're going to hear about a man who went to the extraterrestrials planet and got a lot of answers. So welcome to the show, Samuel.
Welcome,
Thanks for
Samuel.
having me here. Thanks for having me here.
It's so good to have you. Thank you so much. And I can't help but be curious. You know, you have so much life ahead of you, and you're so well educated, and these are some pretty intense topics that you're dealing with. How did this come about for you, Samuel? I mean, did you have a usual, air quote life when you were younger, or did any signs point to where you'd be heading to where you are now when you were younger? How did that come about?
Since I was very young when I was in China, I always wanted to learn from the best. In my mind, the best comes from extraterrestrial beings, ancient civilizations or civilizations that are much more advanced than what we currently have on Earth. So that's engraved in my subconscious mind when I was young. So I was always looking for writings, books written by ET contactees. in China back then, it was fairly open, and they had a lot of magazines on UFOs or contacts, ET contacts. So, but then after I came to the US, I had more opportunities to read books in languages other than Chinese. So I searched and found this one book, Thiaoouba Prophecy, which was actually written by a French Australian who was taken by the ETs to their planet for 9 days and then came back. And he brought a lot of information and knowledge to us.
Wow. Wow. Beautiful. So that's the first book that Augie mentioned. How do you say it again, please?
It's called the Thiaoouba Prophecy, the Golden
Thiaoouba.
Planet.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Okay.
Can you elaborate about that story?
Yes, it happened in 1987. The author Michel Demarquet, a French Australian who was living in Cairns, Australia, suddenly woke up in the middle of the night. He didn't know why, but he wrote a note to his wife saying that he will be gone for 10 days and there's absolutely no need to worry about him. And then he walked outside of his house. He was lifted up to the middle of the air where he saw a beautiful Nordic looking 8 or 9 foot tall being, ET being, who told him not to worry about it and they're going to have a journey together. And then he started the journey to this beautiful planet called the Golden Planet, because as he approached the planet in the spacecraft, he saw a golden mist surrounding the planet. And everything is so beautiful on the planet, and with colors and lights and compassion and loving people. And he was told that they actually have been monitoring us and helping us throughout history.
Wow. Wow.
Where was this planet?
It's in our galaxy, in the Milky Way galaxy.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, so now the people that, I guess we should call them people, even though they are extraterrestrials, but what were they like? What did they look like? Did they, what did he say about things like that?
Yes, they're very tall, like average 9 foot tall. They have blonde hairs and they have beautiful bodies, and they're kind of like Nordic looking. But they're hermaphrodites, meaning that they have both male and female sexual organs. They can perform all the miracles as performed by Christ. So that means they can levitate, they can heal all the diseases, they can project images onto the author, Michel Demarquet, or other people. They can communicate through telepathy, and they never age. They're always looking like in their 30s because they can regenerate their cells and body tissues. So they can live forever. And they actually live on the highest category of the planet in the universe, a category 9 planet, according to them. And we are living on category 1 planet, the lowest category in the universe, meaning that we are just like elementary school students and they're like college professors.
Wow. That's an
Wow.
interesting perspective. Wow. So, Samuel, with all of the studying that you've done with multiple authors and books in different languages, what are some of the themes that are consistent throughout all the stories regarding ET civilization or the Golden Planet?
Yes, the consistent message is that we are all created by God, the creator of the universe. Even the ETs are created by God as well. And when God created everyone, it inserted a tiny portion of itself to each one of us. And so we have a sparkling of God. And this is a way for God or the creator to experience everything that we experience. So we constantly send feedback to God, the creator, and we accumulate life lessons and to learn from our experiences and mistakes in order to grow spiritually. So the purpose of life is to develop our spirituality. And when we encounter challenges, we should look inside for answers and not to follow a specific religious leader or a government official or idol. We should always look for inside because we can connect to the source, the creator, directly without going through an agency. And everything is about love and compassion. And so this is actually what Christ taught us: love your neighbor and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. What was their perception of God? What is he or she or it? What do they see it as being? And
The creator or God or the source, they describe it as a great ether or a pure spirit. In order to
okay.
experience everything, it has to rely on physical experience or physical body. So it's a pure spirit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And that makes absolute sense, and not just like the religions have portrayed it like it's a dude, that's not it.
Right.
Now, you talked about also some of the things that he talked about, the Great Pyramid. He got some information, and I'm really interested in that. First of all, how old is it, and maybe how was it built? Did they say anything about that?
Yes. Um, if we are talking about the Great Pyramid of Egypt,
Yeah.
the Great Pyramid of Egypt, then it was built 17,000 years ago by a person from Atlantis called Thoth. And he used anti-gravitational technologies and supersonic vibratory systems to cut the huge stones in a very precise manner because he had the knowledge, and he aligned the stones perfectly so that it can be used as an energy center to collect um, cosmic and terrestrial energies so that the users, such as the great pharaohs of Egypt, the ancient pharaohs of Egypt, can just sit inside the pyramid and then concentrate or have a meditation and to project their thoughts into the universe, into like onto other planets, and so they can have a communication. And also the pyramid was also used to make rain through a kind of a complicated system using metal alloy plates. And it's actually proven by University of Reading in the UK that when they project what they call the orgone energy into the sky, and they would ionize the some of the atoms in the atmosphere, and the cloud would form and the rain would fall. So this is actually done scientifically in modern days as well.
Yeah, that orgone energy can be, are you familiar with the cloudbuster?
Yes, I'm familiar with
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
that creates also the same kind of orgone energy that will make moisture in the air particles come together, become heavy, and fall out as rain. So, yeah, that I can understand. Great.
Yes.
So, did you say thought
Thoth,
was,
the
yeah,
Egyptian god Thoth. Yeah.
he was instrumental in making it happen.
Yes,
And
and he learned it from Atlantis, and the people from Atlantis learned it from Lemuria. So Lemuria was actually a great civilization that was lost about 14,500 years ago.
mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's about the time, about 47, 50,000 years, the last of Atlantis went down. Wasn't that about right?
Yeah, something like that.
Mhm. Now, the stones that is in the Cheops pyramid, one of them is 75 tons. And they didn't float that down the river. So they levitated it from 600 miles away. Now, you don't float that stuff. You levitated it. Isn't that what you kind of indicated?
Yes, anti-gravitational technologies. And actually, in the book Thiaoouba Prophecy, it talks about how they were able to do that. They neutralized gravity using a specific vibration. And so that's why the heavy object becomes weightless without weight. So this is how they did that. And they actually used this technology to help Michel Desmarquet, the author, to navigate, to travel on their planet. So they have actually device that neutralizes gravity So Michel de Mercure was able to actually travel at very fast speed, floating in the air.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I want to see that. I want to feel that frequency. I don't
Yes.
know. Can humans even be in that kind of frequency? What would happen to our physical being? I mean, would that be too high for our physical being?
No, actually, it doesn't harm the human physical body. I think on Earth there are some laboratories that have already developed such technologies. It's just not being made public yet.
Wow, exciting.
Mhm.
Very exciting. Somebody has a question in the chat room. It's a little different, so it's okay. It's good. Samuel, have you ever heard of an ET bringing gifts to we on the planet, like a teddy bear?
Mhm. I think, yeah, in the book it talks about people always looking for material objects or proofs, and actually I think sometimes ETs would bring some material objects to us, but in this book, it talks about the greatest power and wealth is actually knowledge. And
Mm,
this book contains a tremendous amount of knowledge that can benefit us. I think this is the biggest gift that the Theobans have brought us.
beautiful.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer. Very
Yeah.
nice.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking also, you mentioned before the show that you also, or the gentleman that went to their planet, he also came back with some information about the Bermuda Triangle. What is so special about that? Because it's not just there. There is one in Asia also, a triangle like that. And what is special with those things that make things disappear?
Well, it's actually a portal or warp that connects our universe to a parallel universe. Michel de Marquet, the author of the book Thiaoouba Prophecy, actually went inside of a parallel universe because the ETs used it as a hiding place to prevent the neighbors of Michel de Marquet from seeing them. So once they entered the parallel universe, people on Earth wouldn't be able to see them anymore. And in a parallel universe, time stops. And Michel de Marquet actually saw a lot of people wearing medieval clothes and people who behaved like savages, like apes or cavemen. And he was told that the Bermuda Triangle is one of the places, one of the locations on Earth in which such a portal exists. There are other locations as well, such as in some of the national parks in the US, in which people just suddenly disappear or vanish. It's actually documented by an author named David Paulides. He wrote several books called the Missing 411 books and documenting the people who hiked in the national parks and suddenly disappeared. Um, and I think in China, other parts of the world, there are also such portals. And I think it's just a natural phenomenon.
Mhm.
Have you ever experienced any of those portals, Samuel?
Not really, because I
No.
want to be stuck inside of somewhere that I
Mhm.
cannot get out. And some people do get out, but they have to be very careful because the parallel universe floats in the atmosphere. So they may be at a very low altitude at one time, and they may lift the people inside up. So when you exit, when you try to come out, you have to be careful of the altitude.
Ah, okay.
Mm.
Like, might fall, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, that could go bad.
Wow.
But yeah, well, we know we have movie footage, we have videos, and we have testimonies from people that see these portals open up in the air and ships come out of it.
Yes.
Those are the ones you're talking about, isn't it?
Exactly. And the ETs and the UFOs use such portals to come into our atmosphere and to show up suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
Samuel, why do you think they choose certain people over other people to make contact with? Any thoughts on that?
Yes, they always try to find people who have a pure mind. For example, Michel de Marquet, the book, the author of Thiaoouba Prophecy, The Golden Planet, he was a farmer or landscaper in Australia. He didn't have a lot of education. He didn't have any preconceived notions or presuppositions about certain things or ideas or agenda. And they don't normally take politicians or ufologists because they have like their own agendas and that may distort the what the ETs want us to hear and so sometimes they want to choose people who are more like honest in their writings and also sayings or speakings, and also they chose Michel de Marquet because he had 80 past lives already before he went there. And
Wow.
that was his 81st lifetime. And I guess it's because of the vibrations on their planet. Only people who had 80 past lives can survive there for 9 days. People like who have fewer past lives can only survive for maybe 3 or 4 days. But Michel de Marquet can survive for 9 days.
Interesting. Interesting. Is
Yeah.
that is it excuse me, is that a frequency thing? Is that a vibrational thing of the person's body or their soul? Excuse me. So sorry. Is that
Yes,
what that is? Yeah.
yes, I think it's a vibration or frequency of the soul of the person, actually the astral body of that person to be more exact. Because we have our physical body, we also have our astral body, which is connected to our higher self.
We here on Earth now, we are getting ready to be putting out, or I say we, but somebody is, the Neuralink, which would link the brain with the internet. You have access to all knowledge by the snap of a thought. Does the extraterrestrials also have electronic enhancement to their mind, or are they mostly just developed naturally?
They mostly developed it naturally because what happens is that nature or the soul is a very complicated matter. So they actually encourage us to develop psychic abilities naturally and not to do that artificially. And some people have more psychic powers than others. That's because they have more electrons in their astral body. And since we are living on a category 1 planet, our electrons are kind of limited and shared by 9 people. So one higher self distributes itself into 9 different people on Earth because we are kind of a low category of planet. And on a higher level planet, for example, category 9 planet, one higher self distributes the electrons or the astral body to just one person. So that person has more electrons in their astral body. So that person has more psychic powers like Christ did. And some people on Earth, like members of the secret societies, they use rituals to obtain electrons from other people through like human sacrifice or maybe other means. And that's not the natural way because when they die, they're going to reveal what happened in their lifetime. They're going to feel how others felt when they did certain things onto others. So that's not encouraged or suggested.
Wow. Are there other ways to increase your electrons in your astral body that's natural? Just meditation or yoga or tai chi or qigong? Any
Yes,
of it?
those
Yeah.
all help. Yeah. But actually the one way to do that is to meditate and to use your mind to concentrate. Concentration and meditation, those are very important things to do in order to accumulate more electrons. And also be in nature, like walk in forest, and the trees also help. But I think the important thing is to experience life and to respond to the challenges and to accumulate spiritual lessons.
Beautiful. Mhm.
I got another question, and that is, you talked before on the history of mankind. And when we say mankind, I think we probably sometimes will kind of slide into what humanoid kind could be also, because we have the Paracas skulls in South America. And these are humanoid skulls, but they are very tall and long in the back. Were they also our ancestral humans, or is it a different species that maybe was here before we came? What can you say about the history of us?
Yes, according to the ETs in the book Thiaoouba Prophecy, The Golden Planet, we actually all came from different planets. By I mean we what we mean we mean like the people, the black people, the yellow people, and the Caucasians, the Polynesians, and the Jewish people. We all came from different planets. In fact, the blacks and the yellows came from a planet called Baccaratini about 1.35 million years ago. And and then later on, the Polynesians came from a different planet called Arimo X3. The Caucasians came and landed on Atlantis. And then they also moved away to Europe, Northern Europe, and the European continent. And then the Jewish people came the latest, about 12,000 years ago, from a planet called Hebra. So what they would categorize the people on Earth would be like the blacks and the yellows, the Caucasians, the Polynesians, and the Jewish people.
I know too that like say the Norwegians, Swedes, and the northern Russians, they look just like the ones we are told come from the Pleiades. Is there a connection there?
Well, there may be a connection. Actually, there are other ETs in our Milky Way galaxy. Michel de Marquet, when he visited the golden planet Thiaoouba, he saw at least 147 different ETs preserved in a golden dome or doko, what they would call doko. And then he saw a lot of people like um, with different appearances, and he was told that the Thiaoubans they are in charge of about a third of the planets in the galaxy, just guiding the different ETs to grow spiritually. And yes, there are other ET races, including the Greys, in our galaxy, and a lot of them visit us.
That's interesting, Samuel, that the ETs are growing spiritually as well.
Yes, exactly. And the Greys, by the way, they are on the same category as us. So even though they have probably more advanced technologies, but on spiritual level, they're at the same level as us.
That's so interesting. So interesting. Do you have any thoughts on the hybrid program where women have been taken and made to be pregnant and then not have the children on Earth but elsewhere? Any thoughts on?
Yes. I can talk about the implants that the Greys put on the people on Earth is because they are a dying race. They have been losing their immune system, and they are trying to observe us, how we respond to the same situation, because we have been losing our immune system since 1948. But the Thiaoubans, the ETs in the book Thiaoouba Prophecy, say to Michel de Marquet, the author, that not to worry about the implants because they have been monitoring the activities of the Greys, and so to prevent them from harming us. So there's no danger on the implants. It's just a monitoring device. On the hybrid program, I think there are some people who say that it's part of the government program trying to do certain like clinical, like certain experience onto the people. And I think some of them may be man-made projects or secret projects by the military or the government. I don't think the ETs are directly
Mm.
kind of wishing to have this kind of hybrid program because it's prohibited in by universal law according to the Thiaoubans. They want us to follow the natural path and not to really have a hybrid being with other ETs. So I don't think they would encourage that. And I think it's probably part of the man-made program by the government or military.
So like MK Ultra or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Something like that. Okay. What do you think happened to our immune systems?
So I think because of the atomic bomb that happened before and all the things that caused by human beings, I think we have been losing our immune system, mostly because of the radiation from the atomic bombs.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And for those,
Nowadays, and nowadays, you know what happened a few years ago, and
Yes, that
that's,
too.
yeah, that,
yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
happened. Yeah, you're right.
absolutely. Yeah, and for those of you that joined us late, we are talking with Samuel Chong, and this is getting deep because we are talking. Next, we're going to be talking about the real history of mankind and also life on Mars, and who was Joshua Bethalachme, or you know him as Jesus. There is some extraterrestrial information that will help clarify some of this. So, yeah, back to you, Samuel. What is going on Mars? Is there life up there?
there was life on Mars. So back 1.35 million years ago, when the blacks and the yellows wanted to migrate from their planet Baccaratini to Earth, they actually explored the planets in the solar system. They first saw Mars, which was a living planet, a planet that had living people at that time. And then, but because Mars was a dying planet, meaning that the core of Mars was cooling down. So when the core of a planet is cooling down, it can no longer have the electromagnetic force to capture the atmosphere, so that the planet will become like a desert in the next hundreds and thousands of years. And also the people on Mars, they were kind of highly spiritual people, but they didn't have a lot of technology. And the natural resource on Mars was very scarce. So that's why the blacks and yellows decided not to migrate their people on Mars, but instead they found Earth and then moved their people to Earth. The blacks went to Australia, and the yellows went to was today's southern Myanmar. Yes, there was people. There were people on Mars for sure, but the planet now is a dead planet, meaning the core has cooled down. So if Elon Musk wants to migrate people to Mars, then I would encourage him to think again, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to live on a dead planet.
Yeah, yeah, that's a little puzzling, but maybe could it be that maybe NASA has lied to us about some of that? Maybe in the past, you know, everything up there was brown. It's not that way anymore. Now we see blue sky, and Nori and I have we put together a documentary where we show NASA prints of entities, actually a gray standing about 20 feet away from the rover. And also there's another one, a short little guy that's standing there leaning up against a rock. So there might be something that is still can survive up there. Are you open to that?
I'm open to that because, in fact, I know for a fact that when the astronauts went to the moon, they saw something that was not shown to the people on Earth. They replaced the footages to a footage that they made in Hollywood, because they saw ETs that were warning them and telling them not to be back on the moon again. because we are not ready. We were not ready back then. We are not ready now. And this is why we haven't been back to the moon for the last 50 years, despite the more advanced technologies and the lower cost. And I think similar things would happen if we try to explore Mars. We would be warned off because the ETs believe that we are just like monkeys in a zoo fighting against each other. We don't know how to live harmoniously among ourselves. We are not ready spiritually to explore the solar system or the universe. And if we do that, we would contaminate other planets in the universe.
Yeah.
Wow. Uh, Very, very sobering reflection on humanity, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Samuel, you mentioned that the Hebrews came last. They're the youngest-ish, right? So how
Yes.
does Jesus factor in? I'd love to get into that if
Yes.
we.
Um, the Hebrews originally came from category 3 planet, so 2 levels above the other people, like the yellows and blacks. So they were more spiritually evolved, and they had some kind of technologies, but they're mostly lost when their spacecraft crashed in southern Russia, and then they migrated to south to Israel to get a warmer weather. So that's the start of the Hebrew race on Earth. And as days go on, and they were kept themselves like a pure race. They didn't intermarry with other people on Earth, and but they were always like kind of prejudiced against, and because of their solidarity, their kind of spiritual development, and so they were kind of they had the ancient Egyptians kind of had a lot of jealousy towards the Hebrew people. So they enslaved the Hebrew people, but let me talk about Moses first. So
Okay.
when Moses, who was born actually from an Egyptian family, and had such experiences in Egypt, he was actually led by the Theubans to lead the ancient Hebrews out of Egypt, away from the evil reigns or regimes of the pharaohs. And so that's why Exodus occurred. And the Theubans parted the sea. It's not the Red Sea, but the Sea of Reeds, and helping Moses to lead the Hebrews out of Egypt. So Moses actually worked about 3.5 years leading the Hebrews out of Egypt, and the Theubans helped by giving manas to the Hebrew people. So this is what happened back then, Moses, for Moses. And then thousands of years later, back about 2,000 years ago, again, the Hebrew people were kind of under the rules of the Roman Empire. And in order to bring people back on the path of spiritual development or spirituality, the Theubans decided to have someone extraordinary to be born in Israel, or maybe in among the Hebrew people. So they implanted an embryo into the uterus of Virgin Mary. So Mary was indeed a virgin, according to the Theubans. And so the young Jesus was born. But the young Jesus, the soul or the astral body of Jesus, had to go through what the ancient Nagas would call the river of oblivion, forgetting everything that he accumulated in his past lives, forgetting all the ways or the knowledge to perform miracles. So the young Jesus, the Jesus born out of Virgin Mary, couldn't perform miracles. So this is the reason why in the Bible you don't see Jesus performing any miracles before the age of 30, before he began preaching. Even though he was highly intelligent, having a very profound conversation with the teachers of the temple, he couldn't perform miracles. He went to India. This is why some people say that Jesus went to India and went through China and visited Japan and died there. So this is why there's a tomb of Jesus Christ in Shingo Village, Japan. People can look it up, Shingo, Shingo Village, Japan. And this is one of the specific verifiable evidence or facts that this book contains. And before this book was published, very few people in the Western world knew about the tomb of Jesus in Japan. So that's the Jesus. But Christ, the one who preached, who performed all the miracles, who died on the cross, who resurrected 3 days after, was a different being made by the Thiaoubans, who actually molded a body that appeared to be like Jesus. And then they sent their own people, one of their own people, into the body so that he can remember the knowledge to perform all the miracles. Why? Because the people at that time, as people nowadays, they were highly skeptical. Unless someone who could perform miracles, his teachings were not to be believed because of the people always seek for proof and things like that.
Wow. I'm just taking all that in.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
I
a
know it's kind
lot.
of hard. Yeah. You know, when I was going to the church in Los Angeles, I didn't believe a single word in the Bible. I thought it's just a fantasy, science fiction, and there's just no proof that Jesus and Christ actually existed. But this book contains specific verifiable facts and pointing out the tomb of Jesus in Japan, pointing out that when the King Herod killed so many babies when Jesus was born. It's actually very, very specific, and there's a specific number of babies that he killed. And also it tells the reason for Christ resurrecting 3 days after he was killed on the cross was just to show people at that time that there's life after death and there's reincarnation. But the concept of reincarnation was later removed by the Catholic Church council meetings. And this book is so specific, it named the 4 Catholic council meetings that intentionally distorted the original ancient scriptures of the Bible.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah,
reading
there's
this.
a lot of people out there saying that, you know, there's nothing written about him. He never existed. It was made up in 325. Well, there is enough writings about him to prove that he did exist. And what did they say about what he looked like? There is actually a document coming out of the Dead Sea Scrolls that talk of him being tall, strong, his eyes like the midday sky, and his hair as the ripe field of grain. So, in other words, he was not a Jew.
Exactly. I mean, he had the appearance of being very special, and he can actually shapeshift. And this is why, like, if you read the Ethiopian scriptures of what happened when Christ was captured by the people. Actually, Pilate was one of the person deciding the fate of Christ, and Pilate actually wanted to devote his son to replace Christ to die on the cross. And then Christ performed like a miracle again, shapeshifting himself, saying that, you know, that just kind of I'm paraphrasing, I can do whatever I wish if I really want to, escape or not to die on the cross. I can do that. I have the power to do so. I'm paraphrasing, but and then it's actually his purpose is to die on the cross just to show people that there's life after death. And then Pilate kind of seeing the omnipotent abilities of Christ, kind of gave up the idea of sacrificing his own son in place of Christ.
Yeah, there is a letter also that is surfacing now about a letter from Pontius Pilatus to Caesar, where he explained to Caesar that this man hasn't done anything wrong, and they explained what he looked like, and it's Pontius Pilatus didn't want to harm him.
Exactly. He is a very
Yeah.
good man.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy.
So Samuel, I have to ask, and you can, if you don't want to answer, it's okay. But a specific number of babies were killed way back then. And we were talking just a little bit about the secret society and infant sacrifices. I mean, is there a thread connecting somewhere, or what do you think?
When the King Herod was killing the babies, he wanted to kill baby Jesus, and that's his purpose. But nowadays they have a different purpose of human sacrifice or children like killing the babies or maybe abusing the babies. I do believe that there's a secret society that's engaged in doing such evil deeds, and it actually started from like a few hundred years ago when there was a person, I forgot his name. There's a person who believed that you have to experience all the evil deeds in order to be with God, and so that religion that kind of cult started, and then it actually aligned with secret societies such as the Illuminati and some of the other members of these secret societies. And then also the members of secret societies also discovered that by having this kind of ritual of human sacrifice, they can absorb more electrons from the person being sacrificed, so that they can increase their psychic abilities. I actually translated the other book that you mentioned in the beginning of the show, the 334 Lies. It's actually written by the highest degree chair of the secret society that was founded in Germany. And even though the book doesn't mention the name of the secret society, that's actually the Illuminati. And it talks about how the author, being the highest degree chair, was recruited by them, and then he moved up the ladder and increased his psychic abilities and through the rituals and how they maneuver, how they manage the world affairs. And it mentioned that no major politician would be elected without their approval. And all
Yeah.
the high degree members of the secret society, I mean the Illuminati, have psychic abilities, the ability to manifest objects, to see the human energy field, the auras, and to predict certain events that would happen in the future using a special form of astrology. And I believe everything written in the book is true, but the book is not for the faint of the heart because it contains a lot of graphic, violent descriptions of the rituals and how they torture people. So it's a very unique book, not for everyone.
Thank you for the disclaimer on that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it sounds captivating, really.
You've been talking about the secret society. You have not mentioned the name. Was it the one that was created in 1776 in Germany?
Yes,
Okay, that's the Illuminati.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he mentioned that. Yeah. We said that name, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they don't call themselves, I mean, in the book, it just mentions the lodge, LODGE.
The Lodge, yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Many offshoots of it too.
Yes.
What do they call themselves, Sam?
I mean, I
The
mean, it's in
Brotherhood?
German, originally written in German. It was founded in Germany, and um, they I don't know how they call that in the States because there are two branches. One branch is in Europe and the other branch is North America, headquartered in New York. So they have different names.
Interesting.
Yeah, I understand also in the United States, you can only go to the 33rd degree of the Masons. But in Europe, you can go to the 92nd degree Mason.
Yeah.
And the higher politicians, they are some up above 33. In fact, the Pope has to be part of it, otherwise he does not qualify to be Pope.
Yeah, mhm. One thing, one fact written in the book 334 Lies is that the Freemasons, members of the Freemasons can be politicians or public figures, but high degree members of the Illuminati never hold public positions because they always pull the strings behind the scenes. They never appear publicly, so no one knows who they are, but they decide the fate of the politicians and worldly affairs.
Exactly, because that's the missing 13th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. It was in the original Constitution that someone with as a Mason or a nobility, title of nobility, that's what it's called, can ever hold public office. And then it disappeared. There was no vote on it. It was just taken right out and it was gone.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, gosh, we are getting down towards the end here. Talk a little bit about these books also, where people can find them, and what maybe what's next for you?
Well, people can find the book on Amazon just by searching the names of the books. Thiaoouba Prophecy, The Golden Planet. You can just search The Golden Planet. You'll be able to find the book. And then 334 Lies, LIES. And then for me, you can find me on Facebook just by searching my name, Samuel Chong, CHONG. And I'm also on Twitter or X. And I'm going to be speaking publicly in the alien event in Los Angeles this weekend, talking about the book and also the human energy field and its relationship with the traditional Chinese medicine. And,
Oh, wonderful. That sounds fascinating.
yeah.
Wow.
Wow,
Are they going to be
that's-
streaming that, Samuel? Will they stream that?
I believe so. I believe they'll be
Oh,
streaming that.
okay, good. That's
Oh,
amazing.
that's good. All right. Well, that's excellent. Now, we have a lot of, I call them nuts and bolts people, you know, they want to know the technicalities of things. And NASA now has created an engine that they say will be able to accelerate to the speed of light and beyond. Was there anything about that is this person was told by the extraterrestrial about how do they travel light years away here in a very short time? Do they, when they exceed the speed of light, how do they do it?
Yeah, they didn't say that in the book, but Sheldon McKay, the author of the book, Thiaoouba Prophecy, was told that they first travel at the speed a few times faster than the speed of light into deep space. And then once they're in deep space, they use what they would call super substantiation or transubstantiation to teleport themselves into another location in the universe immediately without losing time in deep space. And then from that point in deep space, they again travel at a speed a few times faster than the speed of light to their destination. The reason they have to do the teleportation in deep space is that if they didn't do that in deep space, their spaceship would have been exploded. So that's the reason why they have to teleport themselves once they're in deep space. So this is the technicality of how they travel, as told by Michel de Marquet.
Were you also a Star Trek fan?
No, I'm not. This is science fiction. I mean, I don't read any science fiction. So I don't watch any movies. I'm a very down to earth, very kind of.
Okay. Yeah, because they're doing that, and they use the dilithium crystal
Mhm.
which looks like about 20 feet long and grown and there was an abductee. Not a few years ago, I read his story, and he talked about the spacecraft that these extraterrestrials was traveling in had a large crystal they were extracting energy from that helped them to go faster than from where they came to here in a very
It
short
was linked
time.
with like the animalistic.
So maybe there is something to this.
Yeah, and I think it's possible, and there's something to this. And but remember, there are different ETs on different planets, and there are different categories of planets and different levels of technologies.
It was linked with
The
like
spacecraft of the Thiaoubans, in which Michel de Marquet was on, is a spherical spacecraft, 100 meters in diameter, and certainly he didn't see a crystal, but this is the technology of one of the ETs that visited us. And I'm sure there are other technologies of different ETs that use crystals as an energy source, or maybe to kind of absorb energy, because I think crystals do have a special ability to absorb and maybe transfer energy in a way, in a unique way.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Can we just go back for 1 minute? I'm sorry. And we've only got a couple minutes left. Transubstantiation. That's the word that you said?
Yes,
Can you
yes,
just,
that's right.
what exactly is that?
It's
I
just
only know it related to Christianity, so help me.
yes, it's a form of teleportation. So what happens is that during this kind of teleportation process, um, the they use a vibration and then vibrate the spacecraft to the speed of light so that the spacecraft disappears. And then they will send the vibrating material or objects immediately into, or teleported immediately into another location. So this is the process, what they would call transubstantiation or
Okay.
teleportation. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Samuel. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate for this show to end. I am
Yeah.
I'm team Samuel. I have been so enjoying the
Yeah.
depth of your knowledge, Samuel, and the amount of work that you clearly have put into it. And it's probably not work, right? I mean, you're naturally drawn to these topics now, or
Yes, naturally
yeah,
drawn.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're having fun with what you do, then you don't really work anymore. It's kind of like a enjoyment.
Yes, it's an enjoyment for me actually nowadays. I want to
Yeah.
find out more about these secret societies and how the world is run, especially how they create wars. I know they use a technique called divide and conquer, but I'm just trying to see if there's a way to reverse it and to maybe help the future to be a better future. And
Yeah.
actually, both books give a solution, which is the power of the mass, the power of the people. Through knowledge, people can act together in a concerted fashion. For example, using nonviolent resistance or other means to resist against the tyrannies in the world. So this is a solution given by both books.
That's good. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. There's one question in the chat room really quick, and I don't know if you can answer it or not. Who is the leader of the Illuminati is the question.
I'm going to keep it a secret because
Okay.
you should read the book 334 Lies, and then you'll know
Okay.
who's the leader right now. You see,
That's
the
smart.
author of the book disappeared in in the year 2000, in the summer of 2000. I think summer 2001. And then we have 9/11. And then since 9/11, we have a lot of wars and conflicts. And you should read the book to find out more.
Yeah, there's so much in that book that we've only scratched the surface on the scratch that was scratched into the scratch, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you so much.
Oh, I got this last question. Yeah, I got this last question. Let me ask you. If you could speak to the whole world, Samuel, and the world is listening, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to wake up and to observe what's really happening around you and to look behind the scenes and to really look inside for answers, responding to the challenges that you will face, because we are part of God and we can connect to the source, the creator, by meditation or by praying, and really just to think about the future of humanity and act together in a concerted fashion and join force together.
Wow, those are wise words. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Samuel.
Well, thank you being here with us. And then for everybody out there, we will be back next week. And I just going to do something we haven't done, and that is that I'm going to announce something that is going to have a roundtable conference on April the 23rd. And this is going to be good because we're going to talk about what happens after disclosure, or if there is something similar where it's recognized that UFOs are real and the extraterrestrials are here. We're going to have confirmed Grant Cameron with us, Laura Eisenhower, Constance Briggs, and Geraldine Orsorko, and Dan Willis, and I think there's another one, but I just can't remember. Yes, you
Unbelievable.
got to put on your calendar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Really good.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much, Samuel, and
Thanks,
then
Samuel.
we will see you next week.